There are crimes that shake cities. And then there are mysteries so chilling, so hollow and tragic, that they echo through time itself. One such case began on a cold February day in 1957 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's now known by many names: the boy in the box, America's unknown child, the lost boy of Fox Chase. But no matter what you call it, one truth has remained through decades of investigation and heartbreak. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody claimed him. Nobody ever came forward. But someone must have known. It started on the edge of the Fox Chase neighborhood, a quiet and wooded area in northeast Philadelphia. On February 25, 1957, a young man was walking along Susquehanna Road, a narrow, secluded stretch framed by thick brush and trees. Some say he was checking on his animal traps. Others believe he may have been trespassing and didn't want to report what he saw. But tucked into the undergrowth, just beyond the roadside, was a cardboard box. It was an old packing box that once held a JCPenney baby bassinet. Its corners were soggy from the winter rains, and its flaps were open just enough to catch the eye. Inside that box was the body of a small boy, naked, bruised, and wrapped in a thin, checkered flannel blanket. He looked no older than 4 or 5. His hair had been crudely cut, with uneven patches suggesting it was done in a rush, perhaps even after death. His eyes were closed, his arms folded against his body like he had once tried to shield himself. There were small scars and bruises all over him, on his ankles, his groin, his chin. One arm had signs of surgical intervention, maybe an attempt to treat an earlier injury. But nothing about him made sense. There were no missing persons reports that matched his description. No one came looking. Not a single person stepped forward. Philadelphia police launched an all-out effort. Detectives scoured the scene. They sent his fingerprints to FBI databases. Flyers were posted in every post office, every department store, every train station. They even printed his photo on gas bills sent to homes across Pennsylvania. Reporters at the Philadelphia Inquirer were haunted by the case and ran story after story, urging anyone with information to speak up. The city watched. The city waited. But silence swallowed the little boy. The autopsy determined he had been dead for a few days, maybe a week. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. But the rest of his body told a longer story, one of neglect, prolonged abuse, and pain. He had been malnourished. His fingernails were dirty and overgrown. There were signs of long-term physical harm, the kind that leaves a child quiet and frightened. The kind that steals childhood. Detectives called him the boy in the box. Others called him America's unknown child. But giving him a name didn't give him a past. His identity remained locked away, sealed behind silence, secrets, and maybe shame. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some believed he had been kidnapped and abused by a stranger. Others whispered he came from a violent home where his parents feared prison more than they grieved his death. One theory, floated early on, claimed he was the unwanted son of a young, unwed mother who had panicked. That idea gained traction when a psychic led detectives to a foster home nearby that had been raising multiple children under strange circumstances. A cot just like the one that came in the JCPenney box had once been sold in that very neighborhood. But nothing stuck. Every lead ended in a dead end. Over the years, theories became more elaborate. In the 1960s, an employee at the medical examiner's office spent his own time and money trying to identify the boy. He even dressed in disguise to chase down suspects and track down abandoned leads. In the 1990s, forensic artists created facial reconstructions using the boy's skull. A haunting image emerged: a sweet-faced child with large eyes, chubby cheeks, and a quiet sadness. Then came the internet. Amateur sleuths, true crime forums, and cold case investigators picked up the torch. Someone must have loved this boy, they thought. Someone had to know. But time is a brutal thing. As the decades passed, any chance of a first-hand confession shrank. Witnesses aged. Memories faded. The woods along Susquehanna Road grew over. New houses were built. And the case, which once felt like it could break open at any second, became a solemn reminder of the cruelty that can hide in plain sight. In 1998, the body of the boy in the box was exhumed from his resting place at Potter's Field in Philadelphia. Advances in DNA testing had given detectives a small spark of hope. Maybe they could find a familial match. Maybe science could solve what decades of searching could not. And for a time, it looked promising. The remains were examined. Mitochondrial DNA was extracted. It was enough to narrow down possible family lines, but not enough to draw a clear path. Investigators worked with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They generated facial approximations. They tested siblings, cousins, strangers. Still nothing conclusive. In 2019, the case was revisited again. Forensic genealogy was now revealing long-forgotten family trees in other cold cases. And then, in December 2022, after 65 long years, Philadelphia police made a stunning announcement. They had a name: Joseph Augustus Zarelli. The unknown boy finally had an identity. He had been born in January 1953. He came from a well-known family in the area. But even with the name, a new pain emerged, because investigators still didn't know who had killed him. His parents had never reported him missing. His family had never searched. And so the question remained: why? Why didn't anyone speak up in 1957? Was it fear? Was it shame? Was it something darker? Police believed Joseph had endured abuse long before his death. Someone, somewhere, had been responsible. Someone had cut his hair, wrapped him in a blanket, and left him in a box by the roadside. And someone still living might know the truth. But with so much time lost, that final piece of the puzzle, the killer's name, may never come to light. Today, Joseph Augustus Zarelli is no longer just the boy in the box. He has a grave with his name. He has the prayers of strangers. He has the love of people who never met him but feel something twist in their chest when they see his face. Because this isn't just a crime story. It's the story of a child the world forgot, until it didn't. And maybe that's the part that hurts the most. For 65 years, Joseph was voiceless. For 65 years, he waited for someone to remember him. But now, he is not forgotten. His name lives on, not just in headlines or case files, but in the hearts of those who refuse to look away. Because some mysteries are solved with handcuffs. Others are solved with compassion. And maybe, just maybe, that's how we honor the boy in the box, not with answers, but with remembrance.